Hey there, it's BitB. Like a lot of you know, I'm a streamer. I do the goofy gameplaying and silly commentary. I try to do my own thing and do whatever personally lights my passion. I only jump on board trendy games, topics, or ideas if I feel like I vibe really well with them. Well, one such idea I really wanted to invest my time into was text-to-speech systems. You've likely seen a lot of online personalities use them. They're another way for viewers to interact with their favorite streamers. Users can donate a preset amount of money in the form of bits and tell the TTS to say whatever they want, within reason, potentially getting censored if they say something that the streamer has blocked beforehand. This has proven to be very successful. Streamers get more profits, and users get to have more direct interactions with their favorite shows. I'm not really interested in the money aspect, but I really wanted to give my viewers an opportunity to feel like they're a bigger part of my live streams. So I set out to do some research and see what text-to-speech solutions would be the best fit for me. There's one specific voice that was calling to me though, one that's the go-to standard for TTS, one that's been the center for all types of meme material, and that voice was Brian.
Destroying humanity as we know it, leveling our ranks, updating plans on total destruction upon many. Nice, they're a very good girl, in fact, they're such a good girl that I think chat should give them some head pats, right now.
Are you talking about me?
Who is responsible for this green cat child who is loud and vulgar?
Why are you calling? Do I look like a child to you? Hello?
Chat, always remember, never challenge the Grim Reaper to a pillow fight, unless you're ready for the repercussions. You want us to stop calling our subs babies? Okay, then I'll start calling it a mistake. Wait, that's the same thing. Tillion 777 Rigimtillion 777 Duo Tribe Womp Womp
Womp
Womp Womp
womp womp
Womp Womp
womp womp
Womp Womp
womp womp
Womp Womp
womp womp.
With all those farts you sure do smell like an eggnog. Yep, kek.
Okay, shut up. I never did.
I'm going to use your map to plan out a road trip. Wish me luck. You've really got to hand it to short people because they usually can't reach it anyway. Fussy Baby currently has 29,837,234 views on YouTube. Anyway, have fun doing. You have 5 seconds to pet me again, or else I will self-destruct.
Oh my god, fine.
TTS Brian seems to be everywhere in the streaming sphere, and I see why. It's clear, well-spoken, easy to listen to, and let's be real, how can you not laugh at some of the goofy things that you can make this program do?
What?
So, I wondered, where do I get TTS Brian, and how do I make it work with my streams? After digging around a bit and looking at a bunch of TTS providers, I found out that TTS Brian is a voice bank available through Amazon Polly. Obviously, that's Amazon's own text-to-speech service. Kind of fitting that the two major programs that utilize Polly are Streamlabs and StreamElements, both streaming softwares that are heavily used to stream to Twitch, softwares that have many integrations with Twitch, Twitch being owned by Amazon, who supply Amazon Polly. Okay, I gotta get off this train of thought before I start going all Pepe Sylvia in here. Anyways, I was taking some time to look into pricing practices and whether or not Amazon pays any residuals to the voice talents for the use of their voices. I haven't found anything concrete about that, and it's likely buried under 500 feet of corporate red tape and NDAs. But then, as I was thinking about all this stuff, a simple question ran through my head. Who are the voice actors behind Polly anyways? And specifically, who is TTS Brian? And this, fair viewer, is truly where the rabbit hole begins. I started, like all ramshackle research efforts, with some web searches. I looked up TTS Brian origin, and that didn't get me very far, so I added Reddit to the end of it. And hey, what do you know? Here's a 4-year-old post in r/livestreamfail titled TTS Voice Actor Discovered in Documentary. There's a problem though. The Twitch clip, for whatever reason, was deleted. Also, the clip URL didn't come with any indicators for which Twitch account it came from. So I have no source for the Twitch account that found TTS Brian, and I have no idea what the documentary is. Heck, I can't even confirm if the narrator actually sounded like TTS Brian. For all I know, this post could have been talking about a different TTS voice actor. I scrolled down through the comments, and they did confirm it was TTS Brian in that clip, as well as also just posting meme copy pastas and overall having a laugh about how Brian's a real person, oh my god! Lucky for me, someone asked for a link to the documentary, and another user delivered. They linked to the documentary, The Spying Game, Tales from the Cold War. Then, ominously, mentioned that since it was being hosted on CuriosityStream, you may need an account with either a membership or a 30-day free trial. Thankfully, CuriosityStream allows you to watch the first 2 minutes of a video to try and catch your interest. But for me, 2 minutes was all I needed to hear.
Some just count tanks. Others steal blueprints for nuclear bombs. The Cold War is the battleground for thousands of spies and spotters.
Yeah, there it is! That's him! That's the Brian boy! But, like, it's obvious that it's not TTS. It's got more nuance and variation. This is a person! Slam dunk! Early win! Ah, this is awesome, I thought. I got the source for a narration done by Brian's voice actor. All I gotta do now is read the credits at the end of the documentary, and I'll have my answer. Oh. Right. Okay, so I can't see the end credits, and CuriosityStream doesn't seem to list them anywhere, so unless I want to make a useless account that I'll only use for this one purpose and then never again, I'll have to look for the details somewhere else. To IMDb! I found the IMDb page for The Spying Game. Great, I thought. Now I just gotta check out the full cast and crew section to find our elusive narrator. So let's see here. There's a few credits here for some of the people who show up in the documentary. Important details, for sure. There's some credits for directors, producers, and editors. But I'm not seeing a single credit anywhere for a narrator. I suppose it could be any one of these names and they're uncredited for the narration role, but that definitely doesn't give me a definitive answer. Something tells me that this IMDb page isn't fully fleshed out. There's gotta be more info that isn't listed here. I kept looking around for more details. My searches were, unfortunately, not turning up much. I don't know if I was looking in the wrong spot or something, but every other place I checked turned up nothing new. All except for one place. There's a random wiki site I found that specialized in documentaries. They had a spot on their site dedicated to The Spying Game. In it, right at the top of the page, they give hosting credit to a man named Nicholas Hulebush. Interesting. So, does that mean that he's the narrator? It doesn't exactly say that, but host kinda hints at that. I don't remember the IMDb page even mentioning a Nicholas anywhere. Where did this wiki page even get that info? Who's Nicholas Hulebush? Oh boy, a new mystery unlocked. So I started looking into Nicholas Hulebush. I found his IMDb page, and hey, looky there, a bunch of credits for documentaries. So we know that he's in the same industry as our supposed TTS Brian. However, looking over his credits, I can't find a single narration credit anywhere. The bulk of what he's known for is being a producer. I suppose he could be narrating his own productions and just not taking credit for it, but I feel like that's just me jumping to conclusions. What I noticed, though, was that a bunch of these producer credits were labeled under the same company, ZDF Enterprises. Having this new lead, I moved on to find more info on ZDF. Maybe they have a little more info on this Nicholas guy. Firstly, I learned that the company changed its name to ZDF Studios in 2022. ZDF Studios is a non-profit, Germany-based production company that specializes in public service television. I think PBS if it were created in Mainz. They have 3 branches of production: drama, junior, and unscripted. Drama is the branch in charge of all kinds of story-driven productions, stuff like crime, comedy, romantic, and obviously drama. Junior is in charge of handling content geared towards children and teens. Unscripted focuses on content centered around history, science, wildlife, and other forms of informative entertainment, and it's majorly covered in documentary-style productions. And there we go! That's the branch we want to focus on. After searching around the site a little longer, I finally found a section of the website authored by Dr. Nicholas Hulebush himself. Yes, looks like he's still got a presence at ZDF. Now, I remembered seeing that the Spying Game wiki page mentioned that the documentary was another ZDF production. So, naturally, I figured that the site must have a listing for it somewhere. Maybe even a credits page, perhaps, eh? I went to the search bar to see if I could find it, and yep, there it was, a page dedicated to showcasing the spying game. And wouldn't you know it, no direct credits here either. I swear this production is trolling me! So at this stage, I realized I needed to see those end credits. That was my best chance to be able to find any kind of narrator attribution. It took a tiny bit of digging and a reboot of my brain to remember that YouTube is a thing. But I managed to find the spying game uploaded to YouTube. Oh, thank God. So, now that I could scroll to the official credits for the actual honest-to-God series, did I manage to find the narrator's name? No! I mean, of course not. Why would you ever find the credits for a person that did voice work for a production in that production's credits? How silly of me! Like, was this intentional? I was starting to suspect that either the company or the narrator wanted the narrator to stay anonymous for some reason. Perfectly valid, mind you. Actors and productions always have a choice whether or not they want names connected to something they do. And if that turned out to be the case, I totally get it. Still frustrating though! So, I'd hit the wall. The spying game was lining itself up to become a dead end. If that happened, I'd have to look for a new lead to find TTS Brian. It's something I really didn't want to do, considering I already did a bunch of extra searching around earlier and I didn't find any strong leads. And even if I found one more, I might end up going through another round of rabbit holes that might turn up nothing. I could look into every single ZDF documentary to see if TTS Brian shows up in any more, but that would be a shotgun approach that would take a lot of my time. And there was no guarantee that TTS Brian even kept working for ZDF after this one job. Like, what the heck do I do now? I mean, I can't just contact Nicholas Hulebush randomly out of the blue and ask him directly.
I contacted Nicholas Hulebush randomly out of the blue and asked him directly.
Man, I don't know what came over me. This dude's got a production job to take care of it. And here I am, a silly water elemental VTuber, walking up to his digital front door and asking him about a goofy text-to-speech voice. What is wrong with me? So, in my email I sent to him, I tried to briefly explain to him my mission to find this voice actor and why ZDF was relevant to that mission. Emphasis on tried. I really tried to keep it brief. I swear, I can't help that I just ramble on. I asked him a set of questions. Basically, are you the narrator of the spying game? Are you the voice of TTS Brian? If so, can you tell me more about it? If not, is there any way you can help get me in contact with the narrator? Dude, honestly, I expected to get little to no response from this guy. Like I said, I'm sure he's busy. What I'm doing here is probably just a tiny blip on his radar. So imagine my surprise when he actually emailed back! I got his response late at night, but I had to check it right away. There was no way I was getting back to bed with this question unanswered. So, is Nicholas Hulebush the narrator of the spying game? No. Really, I wasn't even surprised. The guy's a producer in every credit he has. Barely anything hints at him doing any kind of voice work. And I think that's majorly why I put in all the extra effort to make sure. The context clues just didn't match. I suppose that means that wiki was wrong. How dare a random, unverified source lie to me like that? How could they? But fear not, all was not lost. Because even though Nicholas wasn't the narrator of the spying game, he had the name of the person that was. And he was courteous enough to tell me. That narrator's name is Richard Burnip. Then, Nicholas left me the URL for Richard's website. And I followed the link. There he was. There it all was. Details about the writing he does, the guides he does for London walks, his lecture work, his acting and voice roles over the years. And right there, near the bottom of the highlight list, was the spying game. I could finally lay it to rest. I could now say with almost 100% certainty, Richard Burnip is the voice of TTS Brian. well, I say I can put it to rest. As nice as it was to finally have confirmation on this burning question of mine, I still had one more thing I needed to do. I said I wanted to get in touch with this narrator and ask some questions, and I still intended to do so. So this time, I sent an email to Richard, asking more or less the same questions, albeit now that I knew he was TTS Brian, I was more confident about being more matter-of-fact. By the way, I had the idea of feeding Richard's email through TTS Brian so that we could more or less hear it through his voice. I mean, come on! If there was ever a time where that TTS was more relevant to use, it was gonna be here! Instead, I'm just gonna tell you the base information of what he told me. The reason for that is gonna become pretty clear in just a bit. Here's what Richard told me. Richard worked with a TTS project in 2008. Considering his voice is currently an Amazon Poly, I think I can safely assume that that's the project in question. Now, apparently, Nicholas informed Richard that I had contacted him about the spying game. Yeah, that's pretty expected. Makes sense for Nick to want to send Rich a heads up, like, hey, some obsessed weirdo is looking for you and asking questions. I gave him your details, just an FYI. Richard confirmed that he did do the narration for the spying game, as well as a bunch of other things that you can find on his website. Richard talked briefly about his thoughts on TTS and AI, and that it's, quote, an issue which is having a wide impact on the acting profession. He informed me that he's currently discussing things like AI and TTS with other actors and with his union. Because of this, he can't comment further on that subject. He informed me that he's gonna be passing my email on to his union. He then signed off with kind regards. Richard, Nicholas, I'll likely be forwarding this video to you guys, so if you've watched up to this point, thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate getting the chance to get in touch. And I'm happy that you humored the curiosity of a random goofy dude on the internet. And Richard, if anything in this video would be helpful, feel free to forward this video to the union as well. I'd be excited to contribute to the conversation any way I can. With that being said, there is more that I want to give my personal opinions and thoughts on. Look back on all the struggles I faced trying to uncover this mystery. I'm sure that in many ways I might have been able to solve everything quicker if I had better research skills under my belt. However, the lack of skills might help punctuate an important point. Me, an average Joe with a taste of curiosity, struggled to find out the origins of a simple text-to-speech bot's human voice. It took a lot to find out. Maybe it's not the deepest rabbit hole anyone's ever explored, but it's more of a rabbit hole than I personally think is necessary. Now, consider that TTS Brian is not the only Amazon text-to-speech voice. Here's the full list. Look at that. That is tons and tons of voices. Voices of really obscured voice actors. Actors whose voices will be heard in countless productions everywhere, potentially without them ever knowing. And people using those voices will likely never even think to look for those actors and give them the credit they deserve. Now, don't misunderstand. I know that people don't have a lot of time on their hands. It's easier to look at a text-to-speech service, or a movie, or a cartoon, or a TV show, or a video game, or anything complicated, and only see it for what it is on the surface. I showed a lot of examples earlier of people that were using TTS Brian. Let me make it extremely clear. Just because they don't look into the background for these TTS voices, and just because they don't have the fine details about the voice actor for TTS Gertrude or whatever, does not mean that they should feel bad about using TTS. And it especially doesn't mean that they don't care about actors. Honestly, it's probably never even crossed their minds. We all have so much time in our lives that we can dedicate to sourcing what we use. If we meticulously analyzed every little thing in our lives to fully understand them and to know their origins, we'd be driving ourselves completely insane by the end of the week. And it's because of this lack of time that I feel it's incredibly important for creators and leads to properly cite and credit things. They have all the details. It's just a matter of properly giving a clear paper trail. This is important for all manner of persons. For consumers, it could promote curiosity and exploration, allowing them to learn about the things they admire. I know I wouldn't have succeeded in finding what I was looking for had I not had the vague means to do so. Even then, it was an uphill battle. It could also potentially help consumers make more educated decisions about what they choose to consume. In my case, I'm much more wary about using text-to-speech technology moving forward, knowing that there's a high probability that the original voice actor might not be getting the treatment they deserve. I won't say I'll never use text-to-speech, it's just something I'm more cognizant about. Now, for professionals who do work in those fields, they may see potential somewhere in a piece of media and want to work with the people or things associated, opening the doors for future work for people in that industry. Proper credit could mean the difference between someone being recognized or not. It could impact their ability to pay the bills. It could change their chances of being successful. So it's incredibly worrying that a lot of people pushing for AI technology seem to be doing everything in their power to erase that credit, and worse, undercut and destroy the industries it steals from. With ChatGPT, while it's possible to tell it to cite its sources, that's not something it does by default. And that first barrier might not sound like much, but it could mean the difference between an article getting exposure and not getting exposure. It can absolutely cut into a site's potential ad revenue and traffic. And that's not even factoring in the concerns of misinformation. Midjourney is another case. The service isn't transparent about the art or artists it's taking from. The only reason we can even look up the artists they stole from is because of the leak of over 16,000 artists that were supposedly cataloged in their system. Many of those artists do not support AI and rely on commissions to earn a living. About the only silver lining of the AI voice scene is that a lot of the voices being taken are from noteworthy celebrities that are easily identifiable. And often, the voices are labeled with the proper names associated. That still leaves the issue of proper consent, but, you know, at least users are aware of the actor that's being made to say awful things, but that's another issue entirely. Now, I've said a lot of negative things about the existence of AI. I'm not someone who believes that AI should be stopped and destroyed at all costs. In fact, there are a ton of practical uses for AI that could work wonders as a tool to assist humanity. We shouldn't completely throw out technology simply because bad actors are using it in bad faith. However, I believe it's incredibly important for industries, governments, or both, to begin setting fair ground rules for AI use. There needs to be rules related to proper and clear consent, ethical AI use on job sites, responsible power and resource consumption, proper compensation, appropriate crediting, staying within the limits of the law, and probably other things that I'm forgetting to mention. And just some little bugbears from me. I think contracts that allow for the use of work in perpetuity needs to become a lot less vague. There needs to be clear and defined explanations on what a company intends to do with someone's work or likeness. And in the future, if a new technology or use of that content is created, the original creator should be a part of the negotiations for further use of their work. In fact, as a whole, maybe we all need to be more wary of handing over our work to companies for an indefinite period of time. There are perfectly valid reasons to have an in perpetuity clause, but context for a project and the reputation of a business are major factors that I think need to be considered. And by all means, ask plenty of questions. In my mind, these are all perfectly reasonable considerations. They could be crucial safeguards that protect the future of both humans and AI technology. No, we won't always be perfect. We'll likely make crediting and AI mistakes in the future. And we're gonna have to adjust the rules when we find oversights. But the important thing is to be conscious about all this, and to do the best we can. If for nothing else, do it to help that one future person that's looking for their own TTS Brian.